Well, here we are, Dena and I,
Hello.
Hello.
and all our friends. So we're going to be going over stopping the cycle of emotional eating and moving forward with the life, the physical, the mental, the spiritual body, moving forward. No more stuck in the loop situation. So Dena, Woulfe was gracious enough to put together this beautiful presentation so that we can follow along. I'm definitely a visual and audio learner, so it's nice to have both. So thank you, Dena, so much for making that possible for all the different kinds of learners.
My pleasure. I'm a
Yeah.
visual learner too, so I love it. Hands-on, kinesthetic, visual, auditory, we're gonna hit them all. Yeah. So objectives for today, really, we want to help you identify areas where you may want to improve emotionally and how you actually deal with emotions and stress. We're going to identify areas where you may have created some contracts with your body. And then we also want to identify some natural solutions for emotional support for you. We're going to burn some old contracts that are no longer serving you. And we want to help you learn how to receive your emotional breakthrough, just like what Kim had earlier. That's awesome.
Yay.
Yes. So are you an emotional eater? That's like the $1 million question, right? So we don't know. I don't know. Do you eat more when you're feeling stressed? Do you eat when you're not hungry or when you may even be full? Do you eat to feel better? Maybe to calm or soothe yourself when you're sad, mad, stressed, bored, or anxious? Do you reward yourself with food?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you
All of the
regularly,
above.
right? Do you regularly eat until you're stuffed? And does food make you feel safe? Do you feel like maybe food's a friend? And do you feel powerless or out of control when you're around food? So if you said yes to any of those, you may be, it may benefit you to be here, right? So I want you to kind of think about, like, there's a difference between emotional hunger and physical hunger. They're actually different in how they feel. And so emotional hunger really comes on kind of sudden, whereas physical hunger usually tends to be kind of gradual. And we've all felt physical hunger before. Like you've sat at your desk a little too long and you're like, oh, the stomach's like, I might be a little bit hungry, but let me get a few more things done. And then you're like, you can stave it off really quickly. Yeah. But have you ever felt where like you have a trigger, like you get a phone call that may have stressed you out or something, and then you're like, oh my goodness, I got to get up and get something to eat, and you run to the kitchen to help soothe whatever emotions that you're feeling or whatever, upset you. Mm-hmm. Emotional hunger feels like it needs to be satisfied instantly, whereas physical hunger, we can wait. And emotional hunger craves specific comfort foods. Like it won't be soothed by just any little thing. It wants something specific. Whereas physical hunger is open to more options. Lots of different things sound good. You just are trying to feed your body. And emotional hunger isn't satisfied with a full stomach. Physical hunger, you actually stop when you feel full. And then emotional eating triggers feelings of guilt afterwards, or we feel kind of like powerless or shameful after we've eaten or indulged in something that was triggered by an emotional component. And then for physical hunger, we eat to satisfy, and it doesn't really make us feel bad about ourselves. So that's kind of like the difference between the two. And, maybe in areas of your life, you've been able to identify where there are some emotional triggers versus, maybe it's not so much physical, maybe it is more of an emotional. So we kind of get stuck in this like vicious cycle where, something happens and stresses us out. Like I mentioned before, maybe we feel a little bit of an overwhelm. We don't really know how to deal with the situation. Maybe in our past, we were rewarded with food, or food was used as a comfort mechanism. And so we just immediately get that urge to get up and eat. We eat something, it has a consequence. Maybe we feel overly full, beyond satisfied, or we feel guilty. And then the guilt sets in, and then we get into this loop where we feel powerless over food, and we feel like the food is guiding us instead of us guiding it, or we're in an unhealthy loop with it. So I'm going to pass it over to Kim, and we're going to talk about contracts and what those are. We're going to turn them up.
As you were talking, I got so many little pings, like the ideas are coming, so I jotted them down that have to do with it.
Awesome.
How I learned about burning contracts, and it has to do with, let me give you an example. Something really silly. It's going to make you laugh. So I grew up, my mom told me, there was a movie called, I think it's called Forever Young. It's with Mel Gibson, and he was in like a time capsule kind of thing, and he didn't age. And Elijah Wood, he's really little, maybe like 10. He finds him in this like frozen time capsule and like opens this metal thing, and all the ice, steam comes out, and it's Mel Gibson young. And my mom interpreted that as, oh, well, Elijah Wood really is Mel Gibson's son in real life. I don't know how she got that, but she made that story in her head, and then she told me. And so for years, I believed that Elijah Wood really was Mel Gibson's son. And then as a teenager, I think I told someone that, and they go, no, that's not true. And so it's a belief I was told, and then the belief wasn't real because, someone told me the truth. So anyway, it's a funny joke that we have in my family, because my mom like makes up her own stuff and then believes it. So what I got out of that thinking is, when you find out something that you didn't realize you believed, like here's a false belief. I have the same body as my mother, and my mother had the same body as her mother. And that's a loaded belief, because that means that whatever happens in my mom's health, or whatever happened in my grandma's health, that's me signing the contract saying, I accept their health challenges in my body.
Mhm.
Which is like that Mel Gibson thing.
It's a good example. That's
like,
a good example.
Not true at all. I don't have to accept my health challenges. So the thing with genetics is, you might have a loaded gun, but it's your lifestyle and your stress level and your eating that puts the bullet in the gun, that pulls the trigger. So I don't have to pull the trigger, and none of that crap is true. So I think my imagery for burning that contract is like the Little Mermaid. Remember when she's signing the contract with the sea witch, with Ursula? But then I burn it. So you can go through some of the things in your life, like the emotional expectations, how you're supposed to feel, how you're supposed to express yourself. Like when you're having a conversation with somebody, like on a Monday, and you walk into an office and everyone goes, well, it's Monday, and everyone has the same response. But then there's like one person that's like, yeah, I'm really happy to be here. But it's like you're breaking the norm. It doesn't have to be what everybody else does. But you guys can read through that. I think it's really amazing and important. The physical rules, how is your body supposed to look and perform for others? It's all about how you feel comfortable in your body. Many people I know, their weight has fluctuated throughout their life, and they finally hit a weight that feels comfortable, like your body wants to be there. So I think it's important to look at, like, not just like trying to be what you think it should be. Like for many years, I had a number that, even though I fit into all of my clothes and I'm, doing everything I want to do. Nothing has changed like density wise, but if I got on a scale and it was higher than that number, that's a contract I signed with myself. I want 135.
Yeah, that's true.
I wear the size clothes that would mean that for me. Why does the number matter? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So you can burn the contract. Like I
burn the contract.
weigh what I think I should weigh. What do you have a thought on that, Dena?
No, I think I've burned my contracts, but I mean, I've seen a lot of people in, being in the medical field, you see a lot of people accept their contract of, well, my dad had heart disease, so, I'm going to get it. Or, I'm destined to have the fat gene because everybody else in my family has it, so I did hear a lot of that. But I mean, really early on, I studied epigenetics, which was the study of learning how lifestyle can change your genetics. And so I didn't sign up for any of the contracts, which I'm very grateful for. But I see a lot of people put them to use.
Yeah. And it's important to know that some of those contracts we're unaware of until somebody says it out loud. Before the 18, you have a mold of what's normal. So you're everything around you that happens before that time, to you, you're like, that's normal. And then after that point into adulthood, you start seeing like how other people did things and you go, oh, that's weird. That's their normal. So you can find that when you make a positive change in your life, you might find that your body wants to sabotage you to go back to default, to what's normal, So we're going to get into that.
I do want to share. I actually had no idea. This was a long time ago. I was actually in holistic health coaching. I had no idea I was a sabotage eater. I actually was learning how to muscle test, and one of the oils that came up for me all the time that kept coming up was Slim and Sassy. So I was with Connie Boucher. I don't know if any of you know her. She's amazing. And I was staying with her in her home, and she grabs her Essential Emotions book and she says, here, I want you to read this. And so, of course, I open it up and it's like all these words: self-critical, worthless, body shaming, self-punishing. I was shocked. And I had no idea that I was even participating in any of that self-bullying. I had no idea. And so it was a very, very eye-opening moment for me. Like, I still remember that moment clear as day when my eyes were open. So a lot of times we don't even know that we're doing this. Like you said, Kim, a lot of the times. And I was one of those people. I was probably mid-30s before I realized it. So I had 30 years under my belt of all this critical self-shaming and all this stuff. So very interesting.
Yeah. And once you stop criticizing yourself out loud and in your head, and you get around people that are still doing it, they haven't realized it. It's like, you're like, oh, you really feel for them. So, unworkable relationships, repetitive thoughts, unresolved emotions, hopelessness, trapped feelings, unwanted habits, unwanted behaviors. So some of the, this is good. So what kinds of unhealthy contracts have you agreed to without thinking? What do you think would have happened if you hadn't agreed? What kinds of healthy contracts do you have in your life right now? So these are things that you might want to take a screenshot of that you can start kind of like mulling over so that you can answer these questions. Because the first 3 questions just right now, that would take a whole page to be able to get through. What's the difference between the situations that lead you to agree to unhealthy contracts and the situations that lead you to agree to healthy ones and unhealthy ones. So
Yeah.
like a big one is around family and how they eat and how they talk about their bodies. And it's like if you don't go along with it, then you don't want to rock the boat in the family. Like, so do you sign the contract that you'll go along with it? Or you find a way to get your needs met, you know? So that can be a hard one for a lot of people. Like, no, mom, I'm not going to eat that. And then, you know, like my mom interpreted that as you don't love me. So like, I really love you. And I also really love my body, and that I can't eat that kind of stuff right now. So,
And you know, Kim, also the medical questionnaires, because I was talking to a woman in Colorado yesterday, and she said, well, my 8-year-old has high cholesterol because his dad does and his grandmother did. And the doctor said that it's normal to pass it on from generation to generation. And I said, well, it is if you're eating the same things from generation to generation.
yeah,
So the question becomes, will you be the one to break the cycle?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
yeah.
I mean, my mom had very unhealthy eating habits, very, I mean, she had rheumatoid arthritis, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, hypothyroid, plantar fasciitis. She was pre-diabetic, and she was 58 years old. And I was like, I am not signing up for any of that. So if we can fix you, I can fix me. So because I don't want any part of all these health issues that you've got going on. So how do we fix them? And when we get you all situated and squared away, that's why I'm very grateful. That was the night that I met Kim, and my mom started her journey that evening, and it's been game changer for her. And we reversed all of that crap that was in our genetics. Nobody has it now. This has been amazing. So the question is, who will be the one to break the cycle?
Right.
Right?
I really love.
Yeah. Will it be you? Pretty cool.
You know, let me tell you what happened to me. So my whole family, we're a soccer family. We're a weekend warrior family. We ate fast food, everything. We went in our camper trailer, wherever my sister's club soccer weekend was, we were off to the races. So it was McDonald's, Burger King, donuts, Cheese Whiz things, you know, and then mix in an eating disorder. So it was, you want to be perfect, but you don't eat well. So I actually didn't know what to eat. I literally did not know what to eat. I was completely paralyzed and afraid of what could I eat so that I wouldn't end up, well, my oldest sister gained like 30 pounds one summer. And I'm almost 4 years younger, and I watched it happen. And then she really, you could tell how much she did not like that process, but we weren't taught how to eat. So I had a 7-year time period in and out of inpatient rehabs and homes and therapy and every kind of psych med you can think of, where they laid it on me. And coming on the other side of it, my mom took me to a colon hydrotherapy clinic because she or my sisters could go to the bathroom because none of us could we couldn't process any emotions. We're completely blocked. So it just so happened that at this wellness center, they taught you how to eat. And they showed you all the different foods that satisfy you and made you healthy and healed your body. So I didn't have to only eat an oatmeal packet and a half a sandwich. I could eat all this healthy food, and it was good for you. And you don't have to worry. You don't have to feel like you're doing the wrong thing. So I watched my sister get well, and I was able to get off my meds. And anyway, so it's really amazing learning what you can eat, and then removing that shame and just taking that whole layer of off. So anyway,
Yeah.
I just
Most of our emotional eating is linked to some kind of like unpleasant feelings that we have, but it can also be triggered by positive emotions too. And sometimes we don't realize that. When you're like really happy, your body doesn't understand the difference between good stress and bad stress. Good stress would be like maybe you're getting married or you're going on vacation. It doesn't understand the difference. And so it just perceives it all the same way. And so when you're working to achieve a goal or, whatever it is that you're doing, you can fall victim to some of the stresses. And, I don't know if you ever noticed that stress makes you hungry. It's like not just in your head, it's like a chronic, like physical thing. You get in this fast paced like rat race thing, and you've got these high levels of cortisol, and cortisol actually triggers you to eat something salty, sometimes sweet, and sometimes fried foods. So that's, those cravings can come into play. And then having it unmanaged and uncontrolled with past traumas, it's a recipe for the cycle that we went over earlier, And so we tend to be a society that stuffs our emotions. We tend to eat out of boredom. Or if we're feeling empty or lonely, we tend to want to eat as well. Maybe we developed poor childhood habits, like Kim was mentioning, hitting the fast food all the time, like when I grew up, there wasn't a whole lot of it. The McDonald's was just kind of coming out, so it wasn't too prevalent, but we trade in our health every day for conveniences. So we have to monitor how we're doing that and really be mindful of us doing that. And then sometimes, we can be triggered by social influences. I don't know, you ever met a food pusher? You guys know what a food pusher is? Like someone, just eat it. Come on, just eat it. You'll like it. Eat it. Eat it. Eat it. And you're like, I don't want to eat it. But and then sometimes it becomes so stressful for you. You're just like, fine, I'll take a bite, and it's nothing you would even ever eat. So there's a lot of ways that we can fall victim to emotional eating with some of our past experiences as well. So I want you to we're going to kind of shift just a little bit, because I want you to think about some of the questions that you ask yourself. We can have questions as empowering questions to help your brain develop or solve a problem, or you can ask questions that create more problems for your brain. And so I want you to kind of think about over this last week or so, what kind of questions have you been asking yourself? Poor questions get poor situations. And here's some examples of poor questions. Why is it so hard to lose weight? Anybody know why that's a really bad question to ask?
Because you'll come up with all the reasons why you can't lose weight.
Correct. Yeah. Your brain goes to work on can't lose weight, hard to lose weight. That's what we're predisposing the answer before, in the question, right? How come I always feel guilty after I eat? Why are the people around me such food pushers? Then you end up surrounding yourself with food pushers, right? But if we asked better questions, if we stated our question in the affirmative to be inspired towards your genius, your genuine desires, your success, and we tune into how we ask those questions. And I want you to think about when we put the how, what, why, when, and all that in front of our questions. When you ask a how question, that elicits a process for you. And when you start with a what, that's going to give you content and focus. And when you start with a why, that can evoke either a sense of purpose or problem. So I tend to use the whys last. I got to be really creative with my how and what and my who before I will go for a why. And then the who is going to give you support and resources. Like, who do I know that can help me on this journey? I know Kim, right? Kim is very detrimental to the healing process, right? Because she is a wealth of knowledge in so many areas. She's my go-to. We collaborate a lot. So the powerful questions that we want to ask, we want to create, is using those how, what, or who. And we want to ask them that in a way that creates energy and momentum. So here's some examples for you. How can I be even more successful in choosing healthy foods that are right for me right now? So if you're standing in a cafeteria and you ask yourself that question, what do you think you'll end up getting?
Healthy food.
Yes, your brain is automatically looking for the things that are healthy, right? Point me to the vegetables. Where's the salad? You know, can I get a slice of meat with nothing on it? You know, how can I be even more aware of the unlimited healthy opportunities surrounding me in my life right now? What can I eat right now that will allow me to feel healthy, accomplished, and satisfied? How can I shift my reward system to align with my health today?
I love these.
Aren't these awesome? Who will help me be accountable and more successful along my journey? You'll watch when you start asking the right questions, you'll have people like Kim coming out of the woodwork to help align you with your success on your journey. How can I make the best choices for my well-being, health, and longevity? So you can write down empowering questions for you right now, or you can save them for later.
I want to just put this on my fridge.
Yeah, these are very momentum getting. It's very awesome.
I'm going to carry it in my purse. Write them down, carry it in my purse, and stop and ask the question before I have breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Mm-hmm. When I worked in IT for a while, and we had like lunches were very, very social. And I worked night shift most of my career, and then I switched to day shift and was in the IT department. And I was on a wellness journey at that point. And, you know, I kind of got made fun of here and there, but I was okay with that. But I remember being in the cafeteria and like praying, God, help me make good decisions. Help me be aligned with my health. Help me have the willpower to move forward in my health journey. I remember like distinctly asking for help all the time to make good decisions. And it worked fabulously. I aimed for the good stuff and I got the good stuff, and I asked for help, and it works.
I like that. You brought your higher power into your health journey. That's the way it should.
Absolutely. He's with me everywhere.
Yay, oils.
Yay, oils.
So is it my turn?
It is your turn.
Okay, I like this slide. So I think you put adaptive. So I did earlier today, I had a handful of things that bothered my lower back. And I was like, it's kind of like that kidney infection feeling a little bit, but it's not a kidney infection. And it started last week. And I think it's because I'm starting to lengthen my spine. Because I'm doing more exercise stuff, but I'm being mindful of my scoliosis. So last week I was like, it's okay. It's not my neck. At least it's not that. But so maybe there's changes happening on the other end of my spine. But then I drove a lot the last couple of days, and I had kind of a weird experience with this woman in a class. So I think it had to do with that. So I muscle tested in my body. I asked, is this structural? And I got a huge no. And then I'm like, okay, so it's not structural. Is it a kidney infection? No, it's not a kidney infection. All right, fine. It's emotional. And my body like swung forward. So I do the body sway test. It works for me. It doesn't work for everyone. So if I ask a question and my body will lean back for a no, it'll lean forward for a yes. So I got a big yes. So I'm like, okay, let's go play with this. So I looked it up in the app, actually, the Essential Emotions app, but here's the book. I turned to the body section, to lower back. Let me get to the body section. And it asked me if I was feeling valued. Let me find it so I can tell you exactly what it said. Section. Get the back. It's a lot faster if you do it on the app. Okay, for lower back. Okay, it says being accepted and valued by others, having enough in regards to finances, judgmental, confused, constricted, humiliated, and limiting beliefs. What past blocks, patterns, and trauma am I ready to remove that no longer serve me? Am I ready to let go of the notion that I have to work for love, affection, and acceptance? Oh, I didn't read that earlier. Am I ready to let go of scarcity thinking? Wow. Am I ready to let go of the notion that I have to work for love, affection, and acceptance? That's a really big one for me, that I don't have to work for it. Crazy. But I think this isn't as quite as updated as the app, but in the app, I picked up on that acceptance thing. Oh no, it's valued. I did pick up on that. So then I went to the emotion section and looked up valued, and it led me to a list of oils, and I chose adaptive, brave, and guaiac wood. So I took all three of those oils and I put them on my lower back. I breathed them in my hands, and then I waited. And when I came here to sit down, it's like 50% better. So I'm encouraged by that. I love results. I think that's pretty neat. So there's 3 different ways to use the oils. So I used it all 3 ways, or I didn't use it internally, actually, just 2. So I took the oil in my hands and I breathed it in. That's aromatically, or it could be in my diffuser topically. That means it's on your skin. Internally means you would have drank it or used it in a capsule. We can go to the next slide. So this is just like a safety chart. It's kind of small because I'm on a phone. You guys are probably on a computer, so you can see this.
Yeah, you're welcome to take a screenshot if you like. Just, different oils work for different people. If you're not getting the results that you want from a certain oil or blend, there's probably 25 other ones you can use. They overlap quite a bit. They're so versatile. And then, if you're going to be out in the sunshine using your citrus oils, make sure you're not putting them on your skin that's going to be exposed, because they do make you a little sun sensitive.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
You wouldn't put lemon all over and then go to the beach.
No.
You'll get burned.
You can, but it won't be a good time after you come back.
Yeah. So I thought that this was a really appropriate time to go through the essential emotions process, especially having to do with emotional eating and understanding your own, your programmed eating and your planned eating. So you can kind of look at what are my emotions around that time? I call it premeditated emotional eating. So when you go to the store, are you buying the stuff that you'll need for that? Like the tub of ice cream and those special cookies, and that would be the premeditated emotional eating. So you would ask those questions like Dena just said, are these aligning, with my health goals, or am I sabotaging myself? And then there's programmed eating that has to do with maybe some of the stuff, the burning the contracts. So oh, well, I have to have dessert after lunch, or I have to have dessert after dinner. That's programmed eating. Or you might even have just your little special thing. Well, I have to have a hot chocolate after this thing that I do. So you have to start looking at what is it that I want for myself, and can I let go of that, moving forward, and making sure you have the right things to eat at home. that's like the whole thing, right? That's the unplanned eating where now you're too hungry. You physiologically let yourself get too hungry, and then you've got all this junk in the house. That's going to sabotage. Yeah.
Yeah. So like when you're at the grocery store, I like how Kim was saying she muscle tests. You can easily do that. How she was saying, like lean forward if it's something that you're aligned with, or, you would kind of gravitate away from it, kind of back if it's something that's not. I would ask the question, is this for my highest and best good when you're holding that ice cream, and see how your body responds.
That's a really good choice. I did that with my friend at the grocery store, and she used to use those tools. And she goes, I forgot about that. I've been living with muggles. I'm like, you got to get back to the magic. It's like, let's go back to the magic castle. So using oils in your water, that's so helpful. You're balancing your blood sugar. You're satisfying those taste buds. That's a really good choice. Just so you can use green mandarin. That's for like childlike magic and for cleansing the liver. All the oils are for cleansing the liver and specifically, certain emotions. So the green mandarin would be like childhood delight, lime for releasing anger, lemon for focus, tangerine, that's another childhood one. Wild orange. Wild orange is so balancing for your brain. It's an amazing, amazing oil. So you just put doop, little drop. You don't want to use plastic. You can put it in like a stainless steel or porcelain or glass, because you don't want the oil. It's going to pull the plastic into the water. That's yuck. So, and citrus oils are very uplifting. So we can.
How do you screenshot? I don't know how to screenshot these.
Oh, it depends on the phone you have, but if you have an iPhone, there's two buttons on one side and the other, and you push them in the same.
No, I'm on a laptop.
Okay, yeah, it's a different story then.
Okay.
And I have a Mac, so you do Shift Command 4, but on a PC, try Googling it. Say Google how to take a screenshot on a PC, and it should tell you, because I don't remember. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
If you're on the computer, Stacey, and you have your phone, you can use your phone to take a picture of the screen.
Oh, well, I've tried that before. It doesn't take very good pictures. It's okay though. I guess you're right. But yeah.
We can send this to you as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
you look at it.
Yeah.
Adaptive. So what Dena had mentioned earlier, when you have cortisol and you are stressed, you're not going to make good choices. So you want to get your cortisol down. You want to bring the balance back to your brain so that you're not in fight or flight, you're in rest and digest. And then that's going to naturally balance your blood sugar anyway when you're in that nice rest and digest. So you can take a drop of that adaptive oil and breathe it in your hands, or you can take the adaptive soft gels, and that's going to help bring your nervous system back down. You're not going to make those decisions as quickly. So you have more time to go, okay, what is it that I'm feeling right now? Does this align with my highest and best good? So it's helping you feel less controlled by food, less obsessed and panicked and overanalyzing. You're getting closer to that calm and reassured and clear mind and acceptance, self-acceptance. So, and helping you to figure out, am I feeling afraid? And what is the fear? What am I afraid of? For me, if I'm hungry, I used to get afraid, and it was because I was afraid I wouldn't get enough.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a deeper thing. I'm sure that's from when I was little. Cassia, helping with the fear of rejection, shyness, feeling more courage, unashamed. Do you use it in your diffuser, Dena, in your kitchen? How are you, Cassia?
So, cassia is a pretty hot oil, but it tastes like red hots. So if you're like someone who likes cinnamon gum, this is probably a really good one to either put under your tongue or spray it under your tongue with coconut oil. And Before we had MetaPower, I used cassia quite a bit. It's one of my go-tos as far as for sugar cravings. So if I
I
do
use
have,
cassia in my tea every day.
yeah, I love cassia. But I do like that red hot cinnamon gum. I like spicy things. So cassia is one of the ones that I use internally. Not everybody likes all that heat in their mouth. So if you don't like the burning sensation, I'm sure you've probably used clove or On Guard under your tongue as well. It has a very similar sensation. But you can put a little bit on the wrist. Just make sure you dilute it as well. I do put it in a roller ball and dilute it. And sometimes my skin will get a little bit red right there as well, because it is a very, very hot oil.
My neighbor, he didn't realize he had type 2 diabetes. He was like skinny beanpole man, but he had been drinking a liter of Dr. Pepper a day his whole life.
Wow.
And he went into a diabetic coma one day. And when he got home, he didn't want to get on all the different meds. And I had taken him a spray of cassia in water. I'm like, have him spray it in his mouth before his meals. And just doing that and adding in exercise and no more his Dr. Pepper thing, then he got his blood sugar even. He didn't have to go, with the other stuff. So, but I like to just put my pinky on the top of the cassia bottle, and then you put it on the middle of your tongue, and then it's not quite as spicy, and you get the satisfaction out of it. Clove. I like putting this in my diffuser in the kitchen. So, like you said, like right here, this is good for setting boundaries with yourself and for protection. A lot of people will put this on toothpicks, like you could do cassia and clove on toothpicks for that oral fixation.
Mm-hmm.
Basil. I love basil. I just bought 2 bottles of basil. I went through a whole bottle of basil last month. So Dena turned me on to putting it on the top of my head. And I like putting it on my kidneys and my adrenals. So I'll take a couple drops and I'll put it all over my lower back to mid back. Actually, I haven't done that today, so I'm going to do that. And I also add it to my deep blue, and I put it all over my knees and my ankles before I work out. But it's for fatigue, feeling depleted. That's why you put it on your kidneys and your adrenals. So if you're a coffee drinker like me and your coffee's not working anymore, it's because you've overtaxed your adrenals. So you got to like start kind of backing off, go for the basil. I know for me, I don't really eat when I'm stressed, but I eat when I'm tired because I'm trying to pick it up, so, but
those
yeah.
adrenals are depleted if you're eating when you're tired. Yeah. And then you get the tired and wired feel. That's no fun. Basil is one of our go-tos, like for everything. We use it for recovering from surgeries. I mean, basil, we've had tooth extractions, wisdom teeth pulled, and we do it all without medication. And the doctor's always like baffled at how we do it. And usually it's basil. For some reason, it works really good for our family in our genetics to use basil. Now, I know that I don't know if you know or not, but doTERRA came out with holy basil as well, which is really powerful too for those adrenals and kidneys as well. But if you're feeling emotional pain, this is a really good oil.
I like holy basil.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Somebody have a question?
I do.
Yeah.
Can you speak more specifically to how you use the basil for all the things that you just mentioned you use them for? Do you use it internally?
Yes.
How do you use it?
So I'm an all the above.
Okay.
Topical, internal, and diffused.
What do you find it to be most in which form do you find it to be most beneficial for like feeling depleted and adrenal depletion?
I use it on the top of my head, the crown of the head, every evening.
Mhm.
and that helps to lower the cortisol levels in my body.
Okay.
If
So
I'm
not like
using-
in the moment when someone's feeling depleted,
You
I
can.
wouldn't say put it on you and then you feel a burst of energy or.
Yes, you can do that too. So
Okay.
before we've been in doTERRA for a really long time. We had a
Mhm.
handful of oils when we started. So we were really good at making our own blends. Kim and I used to teach blend classes. And one of the combinations that we used at the hospitals, I worked nights. So of course your energy level would plummet like right around 1 a.m. And you would be, doing head nods and head dips from 1 a.m. till about 4 or 5 a.m. and struggling to stay awake without caffeine. And then a lot of the nurses at night would get heart palpitations from working night shift because it really goes against your circadian rhythm. And so we would use a combination and it was half and half. So 12 to 15 drops of basil mixed with 12 to 15 drops of frankincense. And then we'd fill it with fractionated coconut oil. We'd rub that on. And it was like having Mito 2 Max before we had Mito 2 Max. Have you ever used Mito 2 Max? No. Okay. So that's an energy producer as well. Really good for stress management. It comes in a capsule.
Just got it.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
I use
but-
it if I'm tired before I have to go work out, and it's a good pre-workout to
Mhm.
get the oxygen in the muscles so that I don't have that they call it oxygen debt, so that you have more time in your muscles before it fatigues.
Yeah. It works on the mitochondria, which is your little energy producers inside your cells. So very, very beneficial. But your basil and frankincense can do have very similar effects. So you can diffuse it, you can put it on the skin, and you can use it internally under the tongue or in a capsule.
And what was the little tip you mentioned about putting it on the top of your head,
Yeah.
both of you?
Yeah. So the crown of the head, you've got a lot of your
Where?
hormone glands in the brain. And so putting it on top of the crown of the head, it really gets to all of those organs and glands that are in the brain so that they're hormone related so they can get to wherever it needs to go. So that's why we use the crown of the head. And then I use the under the tongue as well very often because you have a large vein underneath there. It's kind of how we give nitroglycerin, and it goes systemic throughout the whole body. It's a very nice delivery system. Both ways, a very nice delivery system for your body.
So what do you take a drop of the basil and just stick it on your head and
Yep.
massage it in?
Yep. 1 drop of essential oil from doTERRA is enough to service every cell in your body 400 times over. So really all you need is just the 1 drop.
Wow.
If you don't get the results that you're looking for, repeat after 5 minutes. That's what we do. That's how we go ahead and dose ourselves.
I love your confidence. It's like
What's that?
when we first started and we were like trying to figure all this stuff out, the confidence really helps.
Yeah.
I have black pepper here and I haven't read it in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Really interesting what you had there. So black pepper's for unmasking. Black pepper reveals the masks and facades used to hide aspects of the self. Since childhood, most individuals have been taught that some feelings and behaviors are good while others are not. So instead of seeking to understand seemingly inappropriate feelings and behaviors, they usually judge, condemn, and repress them. Black pepper invites individuals to get real by digging deep within the less understood parts of the self. I love learning because this information in here, this was channeled from the plants. Like this is the message that's for this generation. So that's why you want the updated book every year, but now they update the app. Because they're sitting and they're meditating, they're praying, and they're like, the plants are like, this is what I would like you guys to know. Just think it's really neat. So using the black pepper, it's been used a lot for every kind of addiction you can think of. It does something in the body that's kind of like that, like snapping the rubber band. So when you take a drop and you breathe it in, it's helping you like go from the path you were on, the neural pathway in your brain to like go, oh, okay, let's start a new habit. So black pepper is really great for changing that programmed eating pattern and emotionally making you more authentic and taking that mask off.
I want to point out too that a lot of the oils that we use for addiction include black pepper and clove as a combination. We've used it for people to quit smoking. I mean, you name it. Amazing together.
What do you do
Amazing
to,
combo.
you just put it under your tongue?
You can use it however you like. I mean, really, there's no wrong way to use your oils. So really, when you think about how should you use it, it would be whatever your preference is. If you're someone who prefers internal use, you can definitely put it under the tongue. To me, that's the fastest way. I mean, they do say that aromatic's the fastest way, but to me, that's where under the tongue for me works instantaneously. Like it's like immediate.
Yeah.
But if you're someone who's like, well, I don't like the taste of black pepper, then you can put it in the diffuser, or you could put it in a capsule and take it internally. I've had people, smokers, stop smoking just rolling it on the wrist with the clove. We put it in a roller ball combination, very similar, 15 drops of each. Maybe you put a little bit of frankincense in there, and they go to town rolling every time they feel like they want a cigarette. And it's funny, they'll use it 20 times a day. And then the next day is like 15, the next day is like 3. And you're like, wow, this is really cool. I didn't even need my roller today. It's awesome.
Cool.
Making rollers for people, but I'm less likely to make a roller for myself just because over the years I made so many for myself that it's now I'm like, there's too many. So I tend to just take a drop from a bottle and just rub my hands together and breathe it in. But like if you are making it for somebody, I think it's a good idea to make a roller.
Yeah.
Whatever's
so-
going to be easiest to use too.
Yeah. And
For them.
like activity, I'm my body like doesn't mind having meat oils, but there's definitely like the people that need to have it cut for their sensitivity. Zendocrine. So this is when Dena was showing me the slide and we were going over what we were going to talk about. So I used to be a colon hydrotherapist. Dena has been a longtime client of colon hydrotherapy. When we do cleanses, because Zendocrine is one of the cleansing oils, we've noticed that it makes you not want to go back to what you were doing. So I really love that Zendocrine is in this deck here to show you guys, because it really makes you want to change a habit. So like for me, when I used to get colonics, remember I come from the background of McDonald's and Burger King and donuts. When I started getting colonics, I was like, I don't want to eat like that anymore. Like I want to eat really healthy. And every time I go to get a series of colonics, I'm like, I'm definitely not going to eat bad. Like, it's like it changes what I want to do, And Zendocrine is another catalyst like that for you. That'll help you dump whatever it is that's sabotaging yourself. For us that we're like, I'm not supposed to have dairy, but I do it anyway.
Yogurt.
Yeah. So we want to use the stuff that's good for us. And then we were just talking about Max and all that. But since doTERRA's brought out all this meta power, I haven't needed some other things. So I really love this meta power and this blend. And this formulation is what used to be Slim and Sassy, what Dena was talking about. So it's bringing you self-worth and acceptance and being able to see the beauty that we all see in you. I really like telling people, since I went through all that therapy for an eating disorder, and then it's all about how people make you feel. You don't really care what they look like. So think about think of 3 people that you really admire in your life. You really love and admire them. It could be a famous person, could be people you're close to. Do you care at all what they look like? No. No, not at all, right?
Mm-mm.
So that for me really helped me like get grounded and like this body is very temporary. Who I really am and how I show up in this world. It's about my quality of life, and it's about how I make other people feel, you know? So that helped me let go of some of that burning a contract of what I need to look like, you know? Meta power is a good one for that. And then we have this system. This, I can't say enough good things about how this has made me feel and my clients, the people around me. They're like, I haven't had to take ibuprofen. They're like, I have energy. I can do stuff. I can sleep. I don't have as much cravings. You're keeping that blood sugar balance. That's one of the physiological things that makes us panic eat. So, you know, whatever tools we can use, right? So it's all about getting our mindset and our beliefs, asking the right questions, like Dena had on there, having the right tools and the right community and support and people that have the same beliefs as you, so that you can have people around you that you trust. So
Good job.
here's the emotional breakthrough worksheet. This is the one that I go through on Mondays when we do our essential emotions discussion. So how we go through it is we choose either an oil the person's been drawn to lately, an emotion that's been coming up, or a body part. So for me, it was my lower back. So then I followed in the book or the app, lower back. What are the adjectives? What are the words that come up for it? For me, it was feeling undervalued. And then I followed that in the book. I looked that word up, and then it told me what oils to use, which was adaptive, brave, and guaiac wood. And like, super weird. I just love magic. And I love that like my higher power made all of this plant medicine to come and heal me, that I can ask the right questions and I can get the solution, you know? So that's basically how you use that worksheet. I have it in a PDF if you want it. Just message me and I will send it so you can print it out at home. And then when you are journaling, you can go through this process with yourself. So you sit, you have your either the book or the app, your oils, your how you're going to fill this out, and you're going to be empowered. So that's all I got.
Awesome. I love it. So I want you to think about some other tools that you can use. One is keeping an emotional diary. So it would be a food mood diary. And this is how you help on your healing journey. You know, you probably recognize that there's a lot of things that you have in common with either us or some of the things that we've talked about. And every time like we overeat, we feel compelled to reach for, you know, our comfort foods which tend to be like kryptonite to us, right? And so I want you to think back and backtrack how you're feeling before that eating cycle begins. Okay. Sometimes we usually feel upset or something when it's triggered or starts. Stop and take a minute and think about it. And then, like I said, is this food that I'm about to eat going to be for my highest and best good? What's the answer? It may be a no. I've found since being on my journey, going from the sabotager and asking for help. I asked my higher power for help because I know that I can't do it on my own accord. I just did a 7-day fast, January 1st through 7th. And I was like, you and me, Jesus, we're doing this fast because I can't do it by myself, you know? And like Kim was saying, you don't want to eat anything that's not good for you after you come out of that. You crave things that are healthy for you. So it's been a great way for me to stay on track. Plus, I know I already did all the work, you know? So think about those urges. Think about how you're getting triggered. Stop for a minute. try to identify the emotion that you're feeling. If you can just identify the emotion that you're feeling, that's a huge win. Even if you move forward and do something that's a little bit destructive, at least you took the step to identify what the emotion was to help then next time. Oh, you know what? The last time I ate something that I didn't want to eat, it was tied to that emotion. So then you can kind of track and see where it is that your body is taking you, paired with asking better questions. You know, is this going to be for my highest and best good? If not, maybe set it down and reach for something else, you know?
Yeah, lick black pepper.
Yeah, black pepper and clove together. Or the Meta Power.
Yeah, power is a good idea.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, if you go to Carla McClellan's website, let me type it in the chat. Or if Dena could, because I'm not on my phone. Carla
Carla.
KARLAMCALAREN. You can download an emotional family chart, and she's got it separated into the anger family, the fear family, the sadness family, and the happiness family. And it helps to granulate your emotional vocabulary so that you can start to like be really smart, like so you know more than 5 emotions.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time I feel like I'm like, oh, I want something sweet, I reach for the Meta Power, and usually I don't ever like have to do it twice. It takes away the craving really nicely. And then, what's that?
It's a good one to take with you places. Like if you
Yes.
go around those food pushers.
Yeah. You know, over time, you'll see your pattern emerge, and you'll have tools to help you through the difficult, situations and that kind of thing. When you have the oils at your fingertips. Does everybody here have oils? Yeah. Okay, good. And then Walter asked a question. Isn't self-love the key to overcoming emotional eating? I would love to hear how you all approach the issue of someone simply unable to love themselves.
Well, I mean, we physiologically have to eat. So in that moment, my brain isn't like, well, since I love you so much, like it's like my brain is to say I love myself every time I'm hungry. Maybe you're challenging me to do something. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I think just need to be prepared and then write out what your programmed eating has looked like. And like what Dena said with that food mood chart, that's going to start to reveal where you haven't been loving yourself,
Yeah. We've all suffered the self-bully. I mean, I've been to tons of seminars, and one of them was, I think a lady mentioned, she's like, I would never talk to another human being the way that I talk to myself in my head. And that was like very eye-opening for me. I was like, yeah, she's right. Like I would never say the things like, you shouldn't have said that, or that just looks hideous on you. You wouldn't say those things to another human. So why do we say them to ourselves? So in those times, in those moments where you're really struggling with the self-criticalness, the self-doubt, the bullying, the self-bullying, all that stuff, that's great times to reach for your oils and your questions.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So when I have a really hard moment, I will do a breathing technique called Wim Hof. So you grab your oil, and then you can go on YouTube, type in Wim Hof, and just do a couple of rounds of the breathing. or you can download his app on your phone, and there you can just click the button. But that really helps bring me back into my body, so that I can break that neural pathway habit thing. So hopefully
Yeah.
that's
We can open it up to questions if anybody has any.
So many questions. You talk about the different oils for different things. So I want to do the top of my head thing and see what do you feel after you do that? How do you know that it's working?
Tell me a little bit, like, what do you struggle with most as far as like with around eating or stress?
I think boredom for one.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I just need to stick with my MetaPower for the whole eating problem, I guess. I haven't been using it all day long. I use it in the morning and I forget to take my little balls during the day.
Do you work from home?
Yeah, well, sort of.
Okay.
I print documents from home and then I go to people's houses, and I'm the loan signing agent. So
Okay.
stress, that's the thing. I want to get my cortisol, whatever you call that.
Yes.
I don't
So
want to feel like I want sugar. I have a little bit of a sugar issue, not all day, but just late at night.
Oh, okay. So that's good to know. So I would then maybe set an alarm in my phone on the time that I have the craving. More likely, like, if it happens like at 8 p.m. or at 7 p.m., I would set my alarm for like a 6:45 and I would take my MetaPower beadlet or chew some gum, just so that you're preparing yourself to not get to the trigger.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Mhm.
So like one of my habits was a long time ago, like I would be really good all day, so good all day.
Yeah.
And then 10 p.m., because
Yeah.
I'm a night owl, 10 p.m., I want to clean out the pantry with my face. And so, it's just nothing good comes of that, right?
Oh,
And so I would just want to snack and snack and snack. And then, I would use the Slim and Sassy to curb that. I realized what I was doing. And then I was like, oh my goodness, I can't keep doing this. Like the scale's going up, And so then once I realized what the time and the triggers were, I then used my Slim and Sassy. This was before we had MetaPower. I used my Slim and Sassy around 9:30. Well, then I would never get to that 10 o'clock. I want to clean out the pantry.
Mm.
Yeah. So it curbed that complete trigger and the habit 100% for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can feel free to repeat. And like, girl, I got oils everywhere. They are in my purse. They are on my desk. They are in my car. They are in my bathroom. They are everywhere. I am going to be successful. They're even in the cupboard above the coffee pot. They are everywhere. And that's how you be successful is, you plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
leave them out. If you put them away, then you forget all about it.
Oh yeah. No, mine are out. I have to see them.
Yeah.
You don't want to have what is it called? What's that word you say? Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
My oils are always out, but yeah, I'm glad that we're doing this tonight. It's a little more encouraging to think more about before. I know this, right? Don't we all? We know there is an avenue to get where you want to get for whatever weight you want to lose.
Yeah.
There's no reason why you can't. Why is it so hard to lose weight? It's because lack of knowledge. That's it. Most people don't really understand how to stop what they're doing. So I didn't know that you could put something on the top of your head. I never thought about it, so I never knew. So because I don't always like the oils under my tongue. I don't mind some of them, but
your belly button is another good spot.
Another good spot. Okay.
Those are my number 1 and number 2 spots that I use.
Cool. Gonna get down with it. I just got my vitamins in the mail, the Vitality ones, the little 3-pack.
Yeah, I love that. That's a
I
game
know. I
changer.
just started those yesterday.
Yay.
Yay. And Kimmy, I have to admit, I have a confession. I was always using a sports bottle and putting my lemon in it. I didn't know. I have a feeling it was causing toxic buildup in my system now, which is why I was having a lot of hard time with energy. I don't know. Is that what could happen over time?
You know, it just depends. We don't know if the bottle you were using was BPA free and, you
Yeah.
know, so, you know, it might not be as bad as you think, but,
Yeah.
something
That's what I do like every day, just to go to the gym and have my lemon inside my water. So I guess I need to get a metal bottle.
when something that just before we end this, I noticed that when I had more energy, I interpreted that as light. And when I feel light, I feel hungry.
Oh,
And when I feel heavy, I feel full. And so when I'm sad, I feel heavy. So I'm not hungry. But if I'm happy, then I get hungrier. So notice if you're feeling lighter, if you eat more, and like if you can tell the difference, you know, I just think that's funny. But
okay.
yeah, I really appreciate everybody joining us. And
Yeah,
well,
this was good.
me and Dena
Thank
are
you.
other classes, so we'll post them.
Cool. Very good. It was nice to see you again. Thanks, Kimmy. Bye-bye. Thank you,
Bye.
Dena, for all your knowledge.
My pleasure. Good to see you.
Thank
Can't
you.
wait. So I'm only 3 weeks in. Well, we'll see you soon. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.